Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. And today I'm going to give my review of King of the Ring 1995. Starting off the evening, we go to our first match of the night. It is a King of the Ring tournament matchup. It is IRS versus Savio Vega. I thought it was an okay opening matchup for King of the Ring 95. Back and forth matchup between IRS and Savio Vega, with Vega keeping the pace of the match. Vega ultimately hits a spin kick on IRS, pinning him for the 3. And moving on in the King of the Ring tournament is Savio Vega. Hats off to Savio Vega for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It's another King of the Ring tournament matchup. It is Yokozuna versus Savio Vega. I thought this was a relatively good matchup. Back and forth matchup between both Yokozuna and Savio Vega, with Yokozuna keeping the pace of the match. Yokozuna then goes for a leg drop but missed Savio Vega. Vega then hits a spin kick on Yokozuna. Owen Hart then attacks Razor ringside. Vega then throws Yokozuna into the ring post on the outside. And your winner of the match by countout is Savio Vega. Hats off to Savio Vega for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night as well. This is another King of the Ring tournament matchup. It is the Roadie versus Bob Holly. I thought it was an okay matchup. Back and forth matchup between both the Roadie and Bob Holly, with Holly keeping the pace of the match. Roadie ends up hitting a devastating powerbomb on Holly. Holly gets up, hits a head scissors on the Roadie. Holly then hits a power slam on the Roadie in the middle of the ring. Holly then goes for a top rope maneuver, but is met with a boot from the Roadie. Pins for the 3, and your winner of the match and moving on in the King of the Ring tournament is the Roadie. Hats off to the Roadie for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night as well. It is Kama versus Shawn Michaels for in the King of the Ring tournament. It's a good matchup. Back and forth matchup between both Kama and Shawn Michaels, with Shawn Michaels keeping the pace of the match. Shawn Michaels ends up hitting a roll-up on Kama. Referee counts to 2. The bell sounds, and the match ends up ending in a draw due to the fact that the time limit had ran out. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night as well. It is another King of the Ring tournament matchup. It is Mabel versus The Undertaker. I thought this was a relatively good matchup as well. Back and forth matchup between both Mabel and The Undertaker, with The Undertaker keeping the pace of the match. Undertaker hits his signature old school on Mabel. Mabel then hits a devastating pile driver on The Undertaker. Undertaker then hits a choke slam on Mabel in the middle of the ring. Kama then attacks Undertaker, and then Mabel hits a leg drop on Undertaker, pinning him for the 3. And moving on in the King of the Ring tournament is Mabel. Hats off to Mabel for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night as well. It is another King of the Ring tournament matchup. It is Savio Vega versus the Roadie. I thought it was an okay matchup. Back and forth matchup between Savio Vega and Roadie, with Vega keeping the pace of the match. Vega ultimately hits a roll-up on Roadie, pinning him for the 3, and your winner of the match and moving on in the King of the Ring tournament is Savio Vega. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Jerry Lawler versus Bret Hart in a Kiss My Foot match. I thought the match was okay. Back and forth matchup between both Lawler and Bret Hart, with Lawler keeping the pace of the match. Lawler hits 3 devastating pile drivers on Bret Hart in the middle of the ring. Lawler then hits Hart with the boot. Hakushi is here. Hart then applies a sharpshooter on Jerry Lawler, and your winner of the match is Bret Hart. A couple of things I'm going to say about this matchup quickly, man. Number one, it was an okay matchup, but I am not a big fan of the match stipulations, especially this match, the Kiss My Foot match. I was not a big fan of that stipulation, but the match itself was okay. Bret Hart seemed to hold his own in that matchup, with him applying a sharpshooter on Jerry Lawler to secure the win. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is the King of the Ring finals. It is Mabel versus Savio Vega. I thought it was an okay matchup. Back and forth matchup between both Mabel and Savio Vega, with Mabel keeping the pace of the match. Mabel then ultimately hits a splash on Savio Vega, pinning him for the 3. And your winner of the match and the King of the Ring in 1995 is Mabel. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is the main event of King of the Ring 1995. It is Psycho Sid and Tatanka versus Diesel and Bam Bam Bigelow. I thought it was a good matchup. Back and forth matchup between both teams, with Diesel and Bigelow keeping the pace of the match. Diesel ultimately hits the finish on Tatanka, pins for the 3, and your winners of the match are Diesel and Bam Bam Bigelow. Couple of things I'm going to say about King of the Ring 95 before I get out of here. Number one, I didn't think this King of the Ring was all that, to be honest with you, man. If I had to give King of the Ring 95 a rating from 1 out of 10, I'd probably give it a 4.5, maybe 5 at best, man. King of the Ring 95 just was lackluster to me. The way they booked the matchups, I mean, the opening matchup was IRS versus Savio Vega. I just wasn't a big fan. And to be honest with you, I don't know why they were really pushing Savio Vega at this time. To be honest with you, I think Savio Vega is probably mid-card at best, in my honest opinion. But for some reason, they were really pushing Savio Vega back in 95. To be honest with you, yeah, I wasn't shocked that he got the win over IRS. I was more or less shocked that he got the win over Yokozuna. I think Yokozuna would have been great to be the King of the Ring in 95, or just King of the Ring in general. Rody versus Bob Holly, again, a match I could have done without. And the way that they were kind of booking Bob Holly, he was spark plug Bob Holly. And I didn't like the character, man. The whole NASCAR theme with Bob Holly. I just wasn't a big fan. Hardcore Holly, yeah, Hardcore Holly was absolutely fantastic. Sparkplug Bob Holly, not a big fan of. The other thing, too, is the Mabel and Undertaker match was relatively good. And when Mabel supposedly hit the leg drop on the Undertaker, he ended up by breaking his nose or breaking his face or something like that, which led to Undertaker actually having one match wearing a mask. And I don't think a lot of people realize that Undertaker actually did wear a mask in one of his matchups, but that was the reason why Undertaker ended up wearing a mask, due to the leg drop that he received from Mabel. The other match that I wasn't a big fan of either was the Jerry Lawler versus Bret Hart Kiss My Foot match. And it's not taking anything away from Bret Hart. I just hate the stipulation of matchups like that. I'm not a big fan of them, man. I'm really not. The other thing, too, that I'm going to take away from King of the Ring 95 as well is that it's the King of the Ring, man. I feel like the main event for King of the Ring for 95 wasn't even for the WWE Championship, nor was it actually the King of the Ring finals. And I feel like with pay-per-views like that, like King of the Ring or Royal Rumble, the last match should be the Rumble or should be the finals of the King of the Ring, and that's not what we got for King of the Ring 95. Our main event for King of the Ring 95 ended up being Psycho Sid Tatanka versus Diesel and Bam Bam Bigelow, which I'm a fan of Psycho Sid and Tatanka, Diesel, and Bigelow, but to be honest with you, it would have been better to have Mabel versus Savio Vega for the King of the Ring finals, hence the reason why they call it the King of the Ring. So I'm going to have to give King of the Ring 95 a solid 4.5, maybe 5 at best, man. But this is my review of King of the Ring 1995. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.